Tuning in to another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, for my take of the day. So, Mac Jones, all of you guys know he was uh, not drafted ahead of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, the fifth QB off the board in the 2021 NFL draft class. What's really interesting about all of this is the one thing everybody I think missed on Mac because he's been the best QB so far. In sports, we reward physical ability, size, speed, strength, explosiveness, agility. When you look at a kid, just take you back to high school, college, right? You see a really big, thick, strong kid. You people usually come up and say, "Oh, did you play football? Are you a football player?" Right? If people see a really tall, lanky, athletic guy, maybe very vertical, they say, "Oh, were you a basketball player?" And it has nothing to do whether that kid or that individual ever played the sport. You just assume because of a certain body type. Maybe if you see somebody do 8 backflips, you're going to be like, oh, do you do gymnastics? If it's a girl, you might say, oh, did you do cheerleading? Guys can do cheerleading too. Just want to get that out there for cancel culture. So we assume these things about people athletically based off of how they look. Look at the combine, right? Combines happen in all these sports leagues, especially particularly in the NFL. What do they test you on? All athletic ability, bench press, hand size, shuttle drills, 40-yard dash. Everybody obsesses over the 40-yard dash. It's why in the draft, guys like Andy Dalton, Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins fall because they don't excel at those activities. It's why a guy like Tom Brady goes to the 6th round, doesn't necessarily excel at all those attributes. And it's why players like Jamarcus Russell, Robert Griffin III, Johnny Manziel, Mitch Trubisky, Sam Darnold all get overdrafted because they have those eye-popping physical traits when you first see them. Now, look at Mac Jones, right? And when you look at him play, he doesn't have the thickness of an Andrew Luck, doesn't have the arm talent of an Aaron Rodgers, doesn't have the quickness of a Kyler Murray, doesn't have Lamar Jackson's speed. But when you look at Mac, right, not super fast, like I said, not super strong, not super quick, not rocket arm, no crazy arm angles. But what Mac Jones does have that I think you missed on is what he does. He never misses throws. Open running back in the backfield makes it 10 out of 10 times. Open wideout 8 yards down the field makes it 8 out of 10 times. How many times does Mac Jones put the football in jeopardy for a chance of a turnover? Not many times. Doesn't really turn over the football, doesn't give it up. We underestimate things that really matter, particularly for the quarterback position, right? Are you athletic enough? Not a super good athlete, Mac Jones is. He's not a super good athlete. You'll never confuse him for Lamar, but he's good enough. He's good enough. He has a high football IQ, poise, leadership. And that's why, despite the Patriots not being very talented, not having wide receivers who can separate, inconsistent online, he's going through an ordeal of replacing a legend in Tom Brady, having a tough schedule playing the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Patriots are now 5-4 in the playoff contention with a chance to win the division against the Buffalo Bills team that was just in the AFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback. Because Mac Jones had things that don't always show up at the combine, don't always show up when necessarily you're watching film. These are things that's in the mind, not the body, not the brawn, in the mind. And that's where Mac Jones excels, and that's where people missed.